So today we have our first silky oak piece. This is like a bedside cabinet and it is made of Australian silky oak. It has the original shellac finish, but it looks very tired, very grubby. And we're going to be doing a full restoration on this piece. It's a bit unusual having the drawers and the cupboard. Normally they just have the drawers and then they have longer legs on them. And you can see all the marks from where they've had cleaning fluids, or maybe it's been in a kitchen. It has a plywood back, and the panels are also plywood veneer. It is quite light, easy to move around. Now these handles, they look like screws, but they're not. They're actually like nails. And silky oak is one of those timbers that really grabs hold of the nails, and it makes them really hard to get them out. Now these handles are a sort of Art Deco-y kind of style, and they have like tassel drops on them. And again, you'd be fooled in thinking that these were screws, but they're not. They're nails. A little bit deceiving. And of course they have one as well right underneath the teardrop there, and these can be pretty awkward to get a grip on them. You really need a good set of pincers to remove these old handles. Made of, looks like tin, sort of pressed metal, with a cast teardrop handle. Silky oak is native to Australia. It's a native timber. I believe it's also grown in Spain as well, where they harvest it for timber. And it was widely used in Queensland, Australia from the 1920s to the 1960s. It's a different kind of timber. You can see all the medullary ray cells, all the little flecks of wood that give it a unique pattern. Now you can see how they look like screws on the top, but they've got all these ribs on the side of them which grab the wood, which makes them even harder to come out. So they've taken a bit of a shortcut here, and when they've made it, they've just banged them on with these tacks instead of using real screws, which definitely would be a lot quicker. And it has worked because none of these handles have moved, and the little tack nails are very tight still. And the last one, and then the one on the door. And we always get one that's really stubborn, we're just going to wiggle this up and down. We just got to move it up just enough so we can get the pincers onto it. And you can see it's in that recessed area where we can't get the pincers underneath the tack head. We've just got it up just enough so we can get those pincers in. So that's the close-up of them. You can see the Art Deco shape and the tassel teardrop. And the door handle. And we have a ball bearing sort of catch on there with a spring behind it, so it doesn't have a lock. And we've just got the one at the top here. Again, we've just got to try and lift that tack just up just enough so we can get the pincers onto it. Quite often people damage these handles trying to get them off. They think they are screws. We're just going to have to force it up just a bit so we can just get our pincers in. We will clean these handles up before we put them back on when we have finished the resto. And we have our back strip, which is just tacked on with 2 nails. And you can see a closer image of the timber there. It is an orange colour timber. We'll take our drawers out. And you can have a closer look at the grain, which is all covered up at the moment. You can see all the fleck there, the medullary ray cells. Similar to English oak, but not similar. So, English oak being a much whiter colour timber. This is an orange coloured timber. Silky oak is used as well in veneering. It was used in the 19th century in a lot of exotic timbers when they were doing inlay work. And we'll unscrew our hinges. And then we can get ready to strip the item. Typical early 20th century screw. It's got the lathe marks on the top. Now we'll pour on some paint stripper. And you can see already that the original colour now is underneath that we've got it wet with the stripper. Now the polish is quite thick on this as well, so we'll probably have a few goes at getting this finish off. Thick and gooey. Now, silky oak in the 1990s and early 2000s was extremely desirable in Australia, and it was fetching very, very high prices. Almost ridiculous. But now you can pick them up quite cheaply. We picked this up on Marketplace for $80, and I thought I'll give it a go. We haven't done a silky oak piece yet on the channel, and some of you have been asking for more of the Australian timbers. It's a very grainy kind of timber. It is used in home building as well. A lot of window frames and doors are made of silky oak, which probably isn't a great idea because the termites do like to eat silky oak, whereas with cedar they won't eat it at all. And we're just scrubbing off the rest of the finish with some alcohol and some 0 grade steel wool, and then we can get the original finish underneath. Now these panels are a piece of plywood and they have silky oak veneer on both sides. Now we have left this on for about 10 minutes as well, while we were speeding the video up for you. Give it plenty of time for that paint stripper to react. Now they probably would have put a garnet stain into the shellac, or use garnet shellac when they polish this, I would say. They might have stained it. Quite often it is stained. Steel wool, 0 grade, and alcohol, and we just scrub the rest of that out until we get down to the bare timber. I'm just using an old brush here. Paint stripper will destroy your brushes. And we'll also put some paint stripper on the bottom there where they had all those, looks like cleaning fluids, or it might have been in a kitchen, so we can get it all nice and clean. And it's actually not raining, so we're outside today. It's been raining here for about 3 or 4 months, so it's been pretty hard getting any kind of work done, including a cyclone. We got hit with a cyclone as well. Now the top is solid silky oak. It's just a 1-piece wide slab of wood. The later ones in the 50s and 60s would have had a plywood top, in most cases. We'll just let that eat away. It's bubbling up quite well. And now we're getting down to the raw wood. There is a mark on the top where it looks like somebody has had a plant on there. You can just see it there where I've put the alcohol. It's not too bad. You can just see that round circle there. Definitely from the plant pot, watering it, and the water has got underneath and it's just been sitting there. And our drawers are also made of solid quarter cut silky oak. The quarter cut is much nicer than the plain cut silky oak. It has that fleck in it, and it's also a lot easier to polish as well. Like, it is a very, very coarse grain. Over the years, I've done hundreds of these, literally. When I used to have a shop, I had a shop for 20 years selling antiques, and silky oak was so desirable. We used to go around to all the garage sales, and literally people would be running in just trying to grab anything that was made of silky oak. Will those days come back again? I think they will. I think antiques go in a cycle. They lose interest and then they gain interest again. And it's a good time to buy them at the moment, with prices being at the bottom. I was selling cabinets like this back in 1999, 2000 for $750, and they would sell pretty much straight away. But people would rather go to IKEA nowadays than have something that's beautiful, old and solid. Something that's stapled together, made of chipboard or laminate, and it's crazy. And that beautiful colour and that beautiful grain is now starting to come through. And now for the door. And again, this has a plywood panel, and they have used quarter cut silky oak veneer on the front. I mean, this isn't one of the best examples of silky oak. Some of the quarter cut that you can get is really quite spectacular. We won't be sanding this piece at all. We'll just be polishing straight onto the raw timber so we can keep that original colour. Now scrubbing it out with the alcohol. So it is one of the easiest timbers to identify, because nothing else really looks like it. Now it has been raining again. Of course it has, because we're polishing today, so we are going to put some heat into the wood just to get any moisture off the timber, and then we're going to be applying 2 coats of shellac. We add the first coat of shellac and then wait about 2 hours and then brush another coat straight over it, and then we will cut that coat back, and then we will apply 2 more coats before we do a final burnish and wax. So it's just a traditional old finish. and that pot mark in the top should blend in quite nicely. We have to give it a little bit of a rub. It's not too bad at all. Again, we'll put some heat into those drawers, get any moisture off them. Shellac will blush in humid weather. It goes like a white milky colour, and it doesn't dry properly, and it can cause you issues. So if you are using shellac, try and do it in a warm room, a dry room, and avoid humid weather. And we'll put some shellac onto our quarter sawn veneer panel. It would have been made in a factory. There were quite a few cabinet makers that were making this style of furniture back in the 1930s. Tritons is one. Tritons Furniture, I think they are called. Now I'm just smoothing out the top with some 240 grit aluminium oxide paper without cutting through. So we're only just skimming the top of the polish so we can get a nice flat surface. But you do not want to stand through. So you've got to be very careful when you're doing this. And then I'll finish off by hand. Just make sure we get everything really nice to the touch when you feel it, so it's all nice and smooth. And then we will apply coat 3 and coat 4. Out in the sunshine again. Before it rains again. Now we're using some 0 grade steel wool just to make sure we've got no rough edges, everything's nice and smooth to the touch. Same with our panel. And same with our drawers. We are time-lapsing this as well. It has taken us about 3 days to restore this piece. So even though it's only a very small piece, it still does take time. But this is a very easy process that anyone can do. And shellac is so easy to work with. If you get any runs, you just cut them out with some steel wool or some sandpaper, and then you can just recoat again. It is very forgiving. And it's non-toxic. Now the contrast is very bright here because we are outside and we are in Australia, which is a very bright country anyway. Inside it would be a much more of a brown colour. than that golden colour that we're seeing now. And the shellac is wet as well, so when it dries, it'll dry a little bit darker. So there's the front. Now when I cut back, I like to try and use a mask where I can, because there is a lot of dust when you're doing this. So I do recommend that you do wear a mask. Or downwind, if you know which way the wind's blowing. It can blow all that dust away from you. But you don't really want to do it inside unless you want everything covered in dust. Well, the dust and the shellac. So you have got to put a lot of elbow grease into this method, but if you're prepared to do that, you will get good results. Now this is 4.0 grade Liberon steel wool, which has a wax embedded into the steel wool. It's specially made for furniture restoration. You can buy it on Amazon, and it does give a beautiful sheen if you put in that elbow grease. And that white that you see on the steel wool, and we've got my cat here again, always around. Yeah, the white on the steel wool is what actually polishes the finish as well. So my cat is being a little bit annoying, but we don't have any mice. And she's off onto a scratching pad. So if you've got a cat and your furniture is always getting scratched by the cat, buy one of these because it works. Save your furniture from the cat. And now the top. Now the cabinet is rocking, but it is level, it's just that the concrete isn't level. And we're just smoothing out and taking that shine off as well. And all those noises in the background, that is because we live near a highway. So when we speed the video up, it sounds like we're at a racetrack. So we have edited that sound out. It's a lot louder before we edited it out. I'll just dust all the dust off with my air blaster. It gets all the dust out of the grain, and then we'll wipe it down with a clean rag. And we will prepare for wax. Now before we wax it, we're just going to put a little bit of Titebond hide glue on the underside of this. It will attach quite easily to the shellac. We want it so it is reversible, so if someone does want to take this off, they can take it off quite easily. So it's just going to hold it in place, and we're going to leave the original nails in place as well, and we'll just tap it down. that's all it needs. Now this is the wax that we use. We have to import it from the UK, but it is very easy to apply. You just add a coat, leave it for 20 minutes, and then you just buff it off. So there's not a lot of hard buffing work when you use this wax. It's really easy to put on. I use a brush with horsehair. It gets into all the grain and all the spots that a rag won't get into. And now we just smooth over with a rag, get it on nice and smooth, and then we just leave it for about 20 minutes. And then we can buff it all up. So even though it's only a small piece of furniture, that's taken quite a while. And we'll put our coat of wax on the top. This is real beeswax. And now we'll just buff the cabinet up. Nice soft cotton cloth. And we're getting a really nice sheen now. Now our handles that we took off at the beginning of the video, they're a little bit grubby, so we're just going to get a little bit of wax and we're just going to give these little detail bits a bit of a rub. Not too much, just enough just to give them a little bit of a sheen. And that definitely that Art Deco kind of pattern on the backing plate there. So before and after, not a great difference, just a bit cleaner, a bit tidier. And you can really see that grain now. They do look impressive inside a house. It's definitely a timber that catches your eye. we'll just tack back on our handles with the nails or tacks that look like screws, the tricky ones. I've had a lot of people over the years have tried to use a screwdriver to take these sort of handles off and couldn't work out why they couldn't get them out. One more to go, and then we'll put her out the front and we'll have a look at the finished product. And of course we still have the handle to put on the door. Now this is what we had before when we first started. Very tired, very worn, old shellac, and now we have the finished product. And it's glowing again. You can see all that beautiful grain. And it is also in full daylight as well. The contrast is very high at the moment. So we're getting close to the end of this video. If you did like this video, throw us a like, throw us a comment. Please subscribe, it does help the algorithm. Some people have asked that they have not been able to find our channel again. If you subscribe, you won't have that problem. And that's just about it. Australian Silky Oak from the 1930s. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.